Hey, welcome to Rygaard Creations. In this video, I will continue with the more advanced customizations in the custom room Rygaard Creations. First, so that everyone can understand much better, I will start by explaining important concepts within the script. And then, I will show you how to completely customize the right-click menu to make my work within 3DCoat even easier, okay? Now, I have a warning for you. One thing I'd really like to tell you is that all the changes I make here, it's not something that is mandatory or that you have to do the same, okay? But for sure you understand what you need to do in case you want to have your own customizations that can help you in your specific work, okay? Great. What exactly we are going to customize here in 3DCoat is the following. If I right click on the layer in the Sculpt Tree panel, or right click on any geometry here in the viewport, in this case the rhinoceros, it will pop up this menu with several commands. And the most important thing to know is that it is contextual according to the type of sculpting mode you are using at the moment, okay? For example, now I am in surface mode. So we'll find here only commands related to this mode, okay? Great. Now, what if I were in voxels mode? We would find specific commands related to voxels, right? Right. So now I'm going to come here in this upper left corner of the screen, on that little button of a page icon. Next to it, the room list menu. This button is for editing the current room settings. So I will click on it, and now I will have access to the edit room window. We find right here the edit script for RMB action button. Great. This button will allow us to access and edit the right-click menu script, right? Right. But before I click and continue, in case you have any questions about certain things that I want to explain in this video, please first watch the video Advanced Customization using Navigation Script in 3DCoat. There, I explain about functions and how to identify them within the script, as well as other important things, okay? Great. So, continue here. I will click on the Edit Script for the RMB Action button, and we only have these 6 lines of code. I know, this may sound like a nightmare, but don't despair. I am here, right? Right. Now what? Now, first, take a deep breath. Because this is going to be very easy. And you are going to start loving scripts. I hope. So, as always, I will start with the necessary explanations, but don't worry. You don't need to program. Just understand how it works, identify things, and know what to do inside the script, okay? Great. Before I explain what is happening in these 6 lines of code here, I think I'd better introduce you to the if conditional structure first, okay? Perfect. So we'll be able to identify the if structure in two ways. The first if conditional structure is identified as follows. If, open parenthesis, closes parenthesis, open curly bracket, and closes curly bracket. The if will analyze if a certain conditional is true or not. In this case, the conditional would be here between the parentheses to be able to decide if the commands within the conditional can be executed or not. For example, subscribe to the Rygaard Creations channel. If it's true, you subscribe to the Rygaard Creations channel, then I will be able to make a lot of interesting content for you, like tutorials, creation process, tips, maybe lives, maybe courses, and other surprises, right? Right. The other form that exists for the conditional structure is the tend type, if, else, and we identify it as follows. If, open parenthesis, closes parenthesis, open curly bracket, closes curly bracket, and just below that we have else with open curly bracket and close curly bracket. Okay? Perfect. So, the if else will analyze if a certain condition is true to execute its commands. But if it's not true, then it will execute other commands. For example, I'm going to borrow our first structure. Now, I can do the following for you. What's written that we have learned? If it's true, you subscribe to the Rygaard Creations channel. So, as I said before, what will I be able to create? Tutorials, creation process, tips, maybe lives, maybe courses, and other surprises, right? Now, if not, if you don't subscribe to the channel will not grow. And unfortunately, I won't be able to make more content for you. Then the channel will be over. Yeah, there is no way. So, if this is true, the if will perform this action. If not, it will execute this other action, right? Right. So, please subscribe to the channel. Okay? It's worth it. Let's go next. It's time to get back to the right-click script, rmb.cpp, and finally understand what exactly these 6 simple lines of code do. Most important of all, how we can further customize the customized ROM through this script. Is it good, right? So, in this first line, there is a command. It looks complicated, but it's very simple to understand. The include command just accesses a specific library for the operation of the program. In this case, here, it means that the include command is accessing or open a file called vox3 rmb.8. Okay? But things are going to get very interesting from now on. Do you know why? Because if you go to the installation folder of the 3DCoat 2021 program, we will find the folder user prefs, and inside it, the folder ROMs. And right here, look who we find. The file box3rmb.8, right? Right. But what happens if we open this file? Exactly! We will be gifted with all these commands here. And that is very important to know. Do you know why? Because from this knowledge, you understand exactly what the 6 lines of this script do. Let's understand them. Perfect. First, the include command is accessing, or to make it easier to understand, it's open the file vox3rmb.8. Great. After that, there is a function called main, and inside it, we find a conditional with structure, okay? Look what is inside the if conditional structure. There is a function called vox3 object picket. But what does it mean? It means that if we right click on a layer of the sculpted tree panel, or on a geometry in the viewport, the function vox3 object picket will do what? It will detect this mouse action, okay? So, if this is really true, that we actually press the right mouse button in one of these 2 places in the interface, then the script will enter the command block of the if structure, and it will start executing all the commands inside it. And in this case, it will successfully execute the vox3rmb function, right? Right. But to make things even more interesting, look here inside the vox3rmb.8 file. What's the name of the function that is exactly on the first line? That's right, it's the vox3rmb function. So that means that the function vox3rmb, which is here inside this if, it's referencing itself. It also exists inside the file vox3rmb.8. And in this way, all the commands, exactly all the commands that are inside the vox3rmb function of this external file will be executed. Great. To make it even easier, in case someone didn't understand anything at all, imagine that the function vox3rmb inside this if is simply a shortcut to access and execute all the commands that belong to it in a separate and external file. Okay? And the result of this is that the right-click menu will appear in the interface, right? Right. Now, I will start preparing the files for the right-click menu customization process. First, in the Windows Explorer, I will show you the file vox3rmb.8. For this, be in the installation folder of the program 3DCoat 2021, I will enter the folder user prefs. And then I will enter the ROMs folder. As you can see, the file vox3rmb.8 is right here. I will open this file using Notepad++. Perfect. Now, I have the file open here in Notepad++. I would like to warn you one very important thing. Never modify or change anything here inside the original vox3rmb.8 file. Because if you do something wrong in this file, it can really cause problems in 3DCoat, okay? Great. So, I will show you how to proceed correctly with the more elaborate customization of the right-click menu. By the way, this is the easiest and safest way I always do it. I will select all the lines of the script by pressing Ctrl A on the keyboard. And I will copy them by pressing Ctrl C on the keyboard. Immediately and without a second thought, I will close the file vox3rmb.8. Great! Now, I will click on this button, New, so I can have a new file. And I will press Ctrl V on my keyboard to paste all those commands that I just copied from the original vox3rmb.8 file. This will be temporarily the file that I will not have to worry about, right? Right. The next step is to go back to the rmb.cpp file, which is the right-click menu. Great. For the reason that I'm cautious and do things extremely safely, I'm not going to delete any of the original code from this script, because whatever happens, I have a way to go back and return with the original script, okay? So, my solution to this non-destructive process will be to use comments. Perfect. I will comment now the include command. And also the vox3rmb function, right? Right. I'm going to go back in that temporary file of commands. And I will select all the commands that are inside the curly bracket of the vox3 function. To do that, I'm going to click before the function start RMB panel to place the mouse cursor here. And I will go down in the script. Holding down the Shift key on the keyboard, I'm going to click after the semicolon of the show RMB panel function. Good. Now that I have selected everything I need, I will copy it by pressing Ctrl C on the keyboard. And once again, I will return in the script rmb.cpp. Exactly after the semicolon in the vox3 rmb function, I will click with the left mouse button. Leave the cursor here. I will press Enter on the keyboard to have a blank line. And I will press Ctrl V on the keyboard to paste all the commands inside the curly bracket of the if conditional structure. Great. For those who still don't understand what I just did, I simply made it so that the script no longer needs to access an external file in order to execute all the commands contained therein, okay? This means that from now on, we'll have access to all the commands to start the right-click menu customization process, right? Right. But before we start the customization, I'd like to suggest one thing, or rather, two things that will help you greatly. First, take a screenshot of the right-click menu. This will make it easier for you to facilitate orientation and understand the script commands. Second, open Notepad and start planning what your right-click menu would look like. Something similar to what I did here, okay? To prove to you that everything I did is working with the right mouse button, I'm going to save the file rmb.cpp. I will close this file, minimize Notepad++, and I will confirm my changes by clicking the OK button. Great. Now, let's see what happens when I press the right mouse button on the Rhino. Yes! Perfect! Isn't it? The right mouse button menu appeared, and to confirm it even more, on top of the layer of the scoped tree panel, right mouse button, and once again the right click menu appears, right? Right. I hope you have learned something new, and as always, I will see you all in the next video. See you there.